Hey, how's it going? Keith Townsend, principal at the CTO Advisor. We're going to talk about lift and shift today, specifically lift and shift to the cloud. Is it a valid way to move from your private data center into the public cloud? We see this a lot in the past where we lift and shifted applications from one environment, let's say physical hardware, to the virtual machine, whether it's VMware, Hyper-V, KVM, take your pick. And operations more or less didn't change. Our tools, our processes all pretty much worked in that new environment. Their temptation is to do the same thing with public cloud. A virtual machine instance is a virtual machine instance. Whether that virtual machine instance is running in our private data center or running on the public cloud, technically the workload should work. There shouldn't be much that doesn't run on a VM in your private data center that will not run in the public cloud. So what's the major concern? Well, one, price is the biggest concern. Private data center, we eat the cost of inefficiency. If a VM is sized too large, if it continues to run, whether or not it needs the resources or not, we kind of eat that fixed cost of having those physical resources and accounting for that in our budgets. In the private or in public cloud, that isn't the case. If a VM is running and it doesn't serve a business case, then you are paying for that resource. The other challenge is security processes. In the private data center, we treat the private data center as one of these trusted areas. If a user is accessing a resource from within our physical enterprise, then chances are they have access, or the access that they have shouldn't be too disruptive to the business. We've seen this time and time again where companies, the public cloud providers' defenses didn't fail the customer, but rather it was the private data center policies and processes that moved over to the public cloud that did not meld well with the public cloud approach to security and access. By default, S3 buckets are public. So if we did the same thing we did in our private data center and allowed any access to a network share, that opens up the whole data set to the private or to the public, and we've seen this. The other piece in general, just processes, monitoring and application performance, all these things have to be rethought when looking at public cloud. So while lift and shift may allow for physical running of workloads on x86 virtualized hardware in the cloud, your data center processes need to be adjusted for the nature of public cloud. So while it's a valid technical model, make sure you don't neglect governance when considering moving to the public cloud. Talk to you next video.